Okay, thank you, Khem, so much for coming here and join ETAP Docs podcast series about how doctoral students can engage in service leaderships and develop their professional skills through voluntary work and also work with a lot of community-related projects. So, Khem, can you introduce a bit about yourself?
Yeah, so thank you, Mary, for inviting me for this your uh, interesting podcast, and I'm so happy for being here. So, yeah, my introduction is I'm third year PhD student at Education Policy and Leadership Department at the School of Education. I'm international student. I came from Nepal, so
Mhm.
but it's yeah, some more years. So I did my master's also from the US. Uh, and by profession, so I'm a lawyer. So I did my JD and master's in law from Nepal, and I work more as a human rights lawyer,
Mm.
policy advocate, rather than like the day-to-day court practice lawyer. And beside that, I also work as a school teacher, K-12 teacher for about 7-8 years. So I work with them. And before I came to the US, I established my company in Nepal to recruit international students for foreign universities. So I work more than 20 countries for them, recruiting Nepali students and also the other foreign students from India, Bhutan, and other places. I recruited for them. I worked for 10 years. I led the company and I left that before I come to the US. So that's my mm, initial background. That's
Yeah.
back in Nepal. And when I am here, I work in the different organizations and also some of the universities,
Mm.
particularly in the place of internationalization of higher education, study abroad programs, student counseling, advising, and mentorship.
Yeah, I see that you're very active and engaging with not just only your department, but a lot of interdepartmental projects. So, could you let us know some international education leadership, community research, and service project you have experienced during your time at UAlbany?
Yeah, so I wanted to be very engaged person. That's my way of doing since long. So I would like to connect it and helping the people. So in terms of my engagement with international education or like the organization related to that, I work for several organizations actually. When I was in Syracuse, I worked for uh, and there is a big national organization. They work for advocacy, particularly for student advocacy, and AGPS, National Association for Professional Graduate Students. I worked for them for about 2 years.
Mm.
Uh, During that time, several times I went to Washington, D.C. for the advocacy, meeting with the senators, congressmen, advocates on the behalf of the students, including the international students. So at the same time, I also closely work with NAFSA. This is a big organization for international educator.
Mm.
So even this year in 2022 May, we had a big conference. This is an international conference in Denver. I participated there. I volunteered there. I want to engage and learn more about that. And within the university system, uh, right after I joined the university, I joined. There is a research team. That organization work for the cross-border education, and the name is uh, CBERT, which is CBERT, Cross-Border Education Research Team. This is not like a very uh, well set up organization, but it's a loose type of the organization. It's consortium of the people from different universities. Like it was initially started by two of the UAlbany professors who left the UAlbany some time ago. They started that organization in 2010, and since that I joined my PhD program, I am actively working with them. We do different research regarding international education, cross-border education, international branch campuses. Like different universities have their branch campuses in different universities. For example, several US universities has branch campuses all over the world. Similarly, like several universities from China or India, they have the branch campus in Asian countries, also in the Europe, also in America. This is like cross-border education and international branch campus that has been expanding. So people have all realized the value of internationalization of education. So they have different morality, and recently two of the projects I was involved, one is that neo-nationalism in higher education. We presented that paper for the CIES conference this year in the spring. So we studied some case studies from different countries, India, Hungary, China, and how they perceive that higher education in relation to politics and that neo-nationalism issue, how they connect that.
When you participated in that project, do you also see it's not just you are the only doctoral student, or are there also other doctoral students joining with you? And what is the atmosphere, the working atmosphere like in that organization? More like a mentor-mentee or like a colleague between professors and doctoral students?
So I would say it's more like colleague, because we have professor, very senior professor, and professionals different from different organizations. Also like that, some graduated PhD students who already graduated, and those who are enrolled like myself. So, but we have like a different experiences, different expertise, but we work as a colleague in a group. So I think this is some way more interesting environment, because they do not treat us like as a mentor-mentee relation, but we as a group, for example, I had opportunity to learn more about how these long experienced professionals do the research and the way they interpret the thing, that engaging, that's really interesting.
So in that organization, you see the professors and the people who engage are more like international, because we are international doctoral student, right? So we are more interested in international education. But do you also see American professors also, who are expert in that field as well?
Yeah, so we have the professor, we have from like both, like it's inclusive, like we have international people, so for example from China, some from Latin America, for example I from South Asia, there are other people from Nepal or India, different places. Sometimes the organization, we get the people based on the project. If, for example, if we are working on some project, more particularly to China, maybe we need some experts, some people from China who knows about that, because that there is a requirement for the linguistic proficiency, also the translating document, analyzing this. We have been working people from different parts of the world, and of course there are several people who are from United States.
So how did you know about this organization? Like somebody recommended to you, or how do you think that an international doctoral student or a doctoral student in general can search these kind of opportunities? You use Google or navigate on school website, or?
Yeah, that's a good question. So in my case, this is a different story, because when I moved to UAlbany as a PhD student, our interim dean of the School of Education at that time was Jason Lane, whom I already knew, and they also knew about my interest in international education, because I already worked more than 10 years in the international education, recruitment and like this. And when I joined here PhD program, and Jason Lane was one of the co-founder of that organization. So he invited me, if you are interested, you can join this team. So I joined this team. From there, now Jason is moved to another university, but we are still working on that. So I was not like, I didn't look for myself like where is this organization. It's not like that, but they chose me because at the time of getting admission, they might already know about my experience and my international experience and expertise. That's why we started working there. Yeah.
Besides that, are there any other projects at UAlbany that you also participate? Any other position or in any organization, like student-led organization, for example?
Yeah, so in the university, Albany, actually last 2 years, I was so much engaged with different organizations. Like I'm a ambassador for Alumni House. They have that UCAN program. So UCAN is a very important platform for all the students. So this is free platform, UCAN, that stands for University Career Advisory Networks. This is a huge platform, and where we can find more than 2,000 active UAlbany alumni there. And once the people created their profile there, they can find some of the people who are similar to their interests or graduated from their same program. That's why they can get some career advice, academic advice, for example, resume building, how to prepare for the interview, how to like the haunted jobs, different things. And their time schedule also already on the online. You can just choose the person and set up the time. This is one of the organization I involved, and also I was since long, like I'm more involved type person, like supporting international students, also the domestic students. So I was more passionate about serving student body. That's why I started involving working with the GSA Graduate Student Association at UAlbany. I recently resigned from there, but I work in a different position in the organization. And yeah, that's another thing. There are, and also within the university there are different committees like University Budget Advisory Committee. I'm still in that committee. I wanted to learn how the university work, how the universities maybe budget systems, in what position it is. These are certain things. I also work for PMTS. This is parking and mass transit services that handles
the logistic.
Logistic, like your like parking tickets and other thing, bicycling. I also involved with them. So that gives me like some more exposure about how the university system is working, because several things is new for me in the US education system, which is not similar to my country.
Yeah. So basically, I think the traditional viewpoint on doctoral study is that it's a little bit independent and kind of personal. For example, you will focus solely on taking coursework and research, and that take up most of your time. So if you can say about the values of engaging in those community-based and professional-based services and organization, what is the values of it in addition to research, teaching, and maybe coursework?
Yeah, I think that's a good question, because we are talking now about the experiential learning. So now the world has changed. So just studying the books or like the articles and only doing the assignments sometimes may not be helpful. So that also depends upon the interest. So that's totally fine for some people, but some people would like to more engage. From my experience, I think that if you can set aside some time to engage outside of your coursework, that's really helpful. So in several ways. One is sometimes international students, they have different confusion regarding how to speak, how to communicate with other people. whether the way I communicated is enough or not. They have a lot of confusion. At least I had the confusion. So when I work with people from different culture, different community, in the different group, I had an opportunity to learn more about their culture, their differences. This is one thing. Second thing is also that's also helpful for like being when you come from like international background and if you are in the US, first time you sometimes homesickness and loneliness you feel like that. But if you engage with some of the activities, you feel like that you are a part of the community, you are not alone. And sometimes if you have any confusion question, you can also ask to that group members. They are very helpful people. And third thing is what is your destiny after like completing your degree, for example PhD. That also depends. So I'm more engaged with student services, administration and advocacy thing. That's why I would like to see if something is like not working properly or it should be work more than that. Maybe I will look for some participation there. Maybe I can give some input from my side and also I can get learn from that. I think basically about this thing.
Yeah, exactly. I think when even you choose to work in academia, it still have the service as a part as a part of your profession in addition to research and teaching load. So the experience starting from the PhD process is also very helpful for you later. But if you're more focused on community-based services, later after you graduate from the PhD program, you can work as administrators of the university or work even in industry. So these skills can be enhanced throughout your participation in services during PhD. But